Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Alex. I'm here from the Instructional Materials and Implementation Division from TEA. We've got about 20 minutes, so I don't want to take in Holly's time. She's here on behalf of the publisher. You're going to hear from her for about 5-6 minutes, and then she'll be able to take any of your questions. So I'm kind of here just technical support and timekeeping, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Holly.
Thank you, Alejandro. Hi, everybody. My name is Holly Rocha. I'm happy to be here with you all today to share the new Circle Pre-K curriculum and Curricular Circle de Pre-Kinder. Since this session is fast-paced and it's designed to allow you lots of time to be able to ask questions, I want to invite you to contact me to schedule a presentation designed specifically for your school or district. I dropped a link into the chat where you can complete a Google form to do that. I will stop at the end. I have a few things I want to share. We'll stop and have a Q&A, but please feel free to drop questions into the chat as I talk so that we can circle back to them. All right. So because the mission of the Children's Learning Institute has always been to advance learning and health outcomes for all children, we are so proud to offer our English and Spanish curricula free to all educators on our CLI Engage platform. Getting to our curriculum will be familiar to some of you since it's the same platform that many Texas teachers use to access the Circle Progress Monitoring Assessment. I'll very briefly share about the curriculum components. I know you all have done a great deal of thinking and planning over the last couple of days, so we'll spend the majority of the session talking about your more specific questions. The Circle Pre-K curriculum is made up of two components, scope and sequences and theme guides. A unique feature that's important to understand about our curriculum is the ability to use theme guides in any order, which is why our scope and sequence is separate from our theme guide. Let me give you kind of an example. So let's say there's a topic that you and the children in your classroom are just really passionate about, but it's not represented by one of our themes, although I think you're going to love our themes. You could choose to substitute a theme of your own for one of ours. Our separate scope and sequence and theme guide gives you that flexibility that I think you're going to love, but we also provide the framework and structure that's really important in a curriculum. And for those who prefer to have the theme and instructional content laid out day by day, we offer comprehensive weekly lesson plans that you'll be able to open up and modify as you need to do so. Now that you know how to, about the Circle Progress Monitoring Assessment is married and part of the same platform as Circle Pre-K curriculum, I want to kind of talk to you just a little bit about the different components and what makes them special, starting with the scope and sequence. So the scope and sequence is what we refer to as the primary curriculum component. You use this for your whole and small group weekly lessons. The lessons that are part of the scope and sequences are really carefully sequenced, with skills continually spiraling back throughout the school year. And with every single one of these cycles or these spirals, the skill is addressed at a higher level each time to deepen understanding and to empower children to be able to use these skills much more independently. Looking at the content in this alphabet knowledge tab, you'll see that there are three categories I want to describe. Anything that falls under that first category of target lessons under alphabet knowledge, those target lessons are used with all children, and that ensures all children are experiencing all the skills in the Texas Pre-Kindergarten guidelines that you've comprehensively covered all of them across the school year in a very sequenced, carefully sequenced progression. That next column over, step it up. These are for children in need of more challenging tasks, same focus as the target lessons, just at a higher level. And then additional lessons, that last column, those were previously taught earlier in the school year and are really perfect when students would benefit maybe from reteaching or additional practice with skills. Now I want to really quickly also talk to you about that purple tab there at the bottom that you'll see when you visit our scope and sequences. This is our family engagement tab. This fantastic tab is where you're going to find activities to share with your families every single week. If you have a phone handy, you might like to open up the camera app and hold it up to the QR code, and you'll get to open up one of our family activities so you can see what parents will see whenever they open it up. These really fun activities enhance that family-school partnership that we all know is so important. Every single one encourages playful learning experiences at home, but it also supports skills that you're working on that very same week in the classroom. And we offer every one in English and Spanish so that families can choose the language they're most comfortable with. So that sensory popcorn activity, it supports lessons they're learning that same week at school, like corn chip chat, where they're exploring and learning all about their five senses. There's a video of families engaging in the activities in the home together. Really easy to digest directions for families. And to keep it simple, there is no login for parents at all. Now for the fun part, the themes. I know you're all very interested in what those are. Themes are a really important part of the pre-kindergarten experience, of course. They're not only fun and engaging, but they also do a fantastic job with young children addressing concepts that build really important background knowledge and content area knowledge for our young kiddos. In addition to supporting the domains that are in our scope and sequence, the theme guide is also going to target social studies, fine arts, physical development, and technology. So you see how the two come together to comprehensively cover all the domains of the Texas Pre-Kindergarten Guidelines. And I just want to talk quickly about a print version that we have available, because although the Circle Pre-K curriculum is free on CLI Engage, we're always asked about whether or not we have a print option. So separate from the digital curriculum that was submitted for the proclamation and approved for adoption, we have worked to develop a print version for those who wish to have the digital materials in a print form. So there are bound scope and sequences and theme guides. Those include our detailed, very scripted lessons right there for the week of instruction. There are also supplemental resources such as charts and work mats, a theme library with high quality read alouds. And I'm going to add a link for you into the chat where you can visit a place where you can learn a little bit more about it if you're interested in those print resources, for those of you who might be interested in that. Okay, so that was really just a very, very brief overview to kind of talk with you about those two main components and the purpose that each of them serve. So now what we'll do is we will talk about any questions that you have come up with over the last couple of days, thinking that you've done any way that I can help you. So feel free, you can drop it in the chat if you're more of a chat kind of person, or you can unmute your microphone and share out with the group. No questions? Okay. What I'm going to do, since we have some time and we haven't thought of anything quite yet more that you need to know, is I'm going to go ahead and navigate to our curriculum websites.
Holly, there are some questions
in the chat.
Let me see.
Yes.
Oh, I see them coming up now.
Thank you for speaking up.
I do see them now. Thank you. For demo possibilities, demonstrations of the, when you say demo possibilities, are you referring to presentations for your district or? Yes, okay, yes, I certainly can do that. So we have a Google form and we are happy to get with your district. Would love to be able to do that and offer an opportunity to have that opportunity to talk with you more about all the different components and answer any questions that you do have. Does the curriculum address pre-K3? So yes, and we are right now developing some additional resources that will provide better guidance on how to make adaptations for pre-K 3. So we'll offer some sample lesson plans to show the things that would look a little bit different in a pre-K 3 classroom versus a pre-K 4 classroom, and guidance on those kinds of things. So we will definitely have more. It does support pre-K 3, and we are adding support resources that are going to make it a whole lot easier for those of you who have 3-year-olds in your classroom to utilize. The books that come with the materials. So we do have a variety of, there are going to be 36 book titles, read aloud books, that are going to come with the theme library. Those are, let me try, I'm gonna get to that here. Those are high quality read alouds. We have a Spanish library separate from an English library. We gave great attention to make sure that they were really great titles. However, another gift that COVID gave us was many publisher print companies shut down for a period of time and have been slow getting back up. So there are some titles that are hard to get as many as we need right now, and we're working to secure them all. But there is a possibility that a few of those titles will need to be substituted out for alternate titles if the publishing companies can't produce what is needed to provide that theme library. We have a draft of that theme library and what we expect to include in it that we are happy to be able to provide if any of you would like to see that. So I can definitely offer that to you guys as well. If you complete that Google form and let us know, we will get that over to you right away. Let's see, themes. Yep, I will go back. Let me back up here to show you the themes that are included. And I can actually probably hop to the website, because I think that's going to be, let's see, I'm gonna do new share. I'm gonna hop over to the website because that's gonna let me really be able to show you things a little bit more off the cuff as you ask. Okay, so our theme guides, one quick way to take a look at all the different things we offer are just going to the Find a Theme dropdown on the website, and you'll see that there are 10 themes. Welcome to Pre-K is the very first one, and it is a 2-week theme. It is the only one that has to be used in a particular order. You start the year, obviously, with Welcome to Pre-K, and after Welcome to Pre-K, this is our suggested sequence, the sequence that you see here, but you are able to substitute a theme of your own or to use them in a different sequence if you choose to. Opportunities for piloting the curriculum. One of the great things about having a digital curriculum, and also about having a free digital curriculum, is that it is already up and it's available to anyone. Nationwide, really worldwide, anybody can access the Circle Pre-K curriculum at any time. So you definitely can now access any of those resources. We're roughly in, depending on when your particular school district started, but we are roughly in about week 17, 18 of school, somewhere around there, right? So I'm going to come back here to the main curriculum page, and you'll see we have these shortcut buttons. Those will be helpful, or you can use the drop down. So if I go to the scope and sequence, I can pick from any of the 35 weeks that are included in the curriculum, again, completely free to access, and I can click on week 18. And everything I need is right here. I can very, very easily click on any lesson. It's going to open up into the full soft scripted lesson that I can access. I can print. It has a video of a teacher teaching the lesson in the classroom as a demonstration, all of the guidelines there. So it is available for you to be able to pilot. Manipulatives. What we have done is we have partnered with Lakeshore Learning to provide their school readiness kits, and I'm going to drop that information right into the chat for you guys. And those school readiness kits you can order a whole big full set that covers many different domain areas with many manipulatives, additional books, resources, hands-on materials of a variety of kinds. You can purchase all the domains they have available, or you can buy individual domain school readiness kits. That would be directly through Lakeshore Learning. I'm just kind of scanning the chat here. How are updates and revisions provided for print versions? Are they additional costs? So because we were part of Proclamation 2021, what we have available is locked in. So that's one of the requirements for going through the TEA proclamation process, is that we're not allowed to make changes to the curriculum during the life of the proclamation. So there will not be revisions or changes to the curriculum. However, another great thing about having a digital curriculum that's online is that we continue to and will continue to add additional resources on the Engage website that are going to enhance your use of the curriculum. Because our curriculum is free, there's never anything additional to purchase. So what is there, you can access at any time. So if from 6 months from now we had this great thing, anyone can get to it and are going to be able to access it to use it in addition to what we have there right now. Program has authentic Spanish instruction and materials, or just a translation? Okay, that's a really great question. Thank you. So the Spanish curriculum is parallel to the English curriculum, and that was important to us because it's very important to lots of schools that teachers be able to plan together, dual language schools to be able to kind of move between the two different languages. However, a whole separate team worked on, adjusted, a lot of thought and research went into the Spanish edition to ensure that every component of it was specifically there to support the unique needs of a child who is in a Spanish classroom, who is learning English or transitioning eventually to English. So while the two curricula are parallel, there are differences, definitely when it's necessary. The two biggest differences I think that will stand out to you. First is in phonological awareness. Because of onset rhyme being an important skill for our English learners, but not being necessary for literacy and reading necessarily in the Spanish language. That was approached a little bit differently. So phonological awareness in English and Spanish, the sequence will look a little bit different. More emphasis is on syllables in the Spanish curriculum. The other more significant place that you'll see a difference is in the letter order, in the order in which letters are introduced to children over the course of the curriculum. And please chime in if you need further elaboration on any of the things that I am sharing. Okay, we have a few more minutes. In what order do you introduce the alphabet? That's a great one to piggyback on as we share here. So let me actually show you. I have on our website under the pre-K curriculum dropdown, professional development resources. We host a great number of things here, but what is going to be a great tool for you to learn more about the curriculum and how it was designed and why it was designed the way that it was, because it all is very much research-based and in many ways evidence-based as well. So if you scan here and you go to, we have the different sections. In the alphabet knowledge section, it shows you the sequence of letters in English, the sequence of letters in Spanish, and how they are revisited throughout the school year, which week that those are introduced. So that's going to be a really great resource. Again, it's on the website, it's free, you can access it at any time, download it and print it. Does Circle provide lesson plans? Yes, we are in the process right now. What we have up on our website is a sample lesson plan, and we are in the process of developing Here's our sample lesson. Here's a sample lesson plan. It is in PDF format, but we are in the process of developing similar lesson plan for every week of the school year. Very comprehensive. Every single day, math is addressed, phonological awareness, writing, and so on, letter knowledge. It covers your transition times. It covers your small group, tier 1. We've even plugged in sort of some sample content for tier 2 just to give teachers an idea of what that might look like. Of course, your tier 2 has to be adjusted based on your children in your classroom. So these will all be in a Word version. All you'll have to do is open it up and you'll be able to download it, type right in it, edit it. You can copy paste out of it and drop it into any other program that your campus or district might utilize if you have a special lesson planning tool. Okay, I think we're at the last of our time, but lesson plans, I got that one. I have a question about whether or not there are components for the students themselves. So the Circle Pre-K curriculum is a teacher-facing curriculum. We do not have child-facing components. On Engage, there are some child-facing resources specifically for STEM. And so if you want to contact me directly, if you want to drop something in the Google, I'm going to come here. If you want to drop something in the Google form that I provided you, you can definitely, I can direct you to how to get to those materials. But I think I'm done. Alejandro, is that right? I need to stop now, don't I, as people transition back to their next room?
I was just about to send you a message. Yes. So we're doing 220 to 225 kind of as a transition period. And then the next block 2, will officially start at 225. So you can stay in if you have more questions, and I think Holly will have a chance to get to those then. But she and I will still be here, and we'll officially start up again at 225. Is that good with you, Holly?
That's perfect. If you're sticking around and I didn't answer your question, if you'll copy it out of the chat so you can repaste it so I know that you're still here and I can still get to that question next time around. Thank you guys. See you in a bit.
Good afternoon again, everyone. My name's Alejandro. I'm here on behalf of the Instructional Materials and Implementation Division at TEA. This next block starts officially now at 2:25. So we have Holly Rocha here on behalf of the publisher. She'll be here to talk to you maybe 5 to 6 minutes with an intro, and then she'll be able to help you out with any questions you might have. So I don't want to take any of her time, so I'm going to go ahead and pass to Holly whenever she's ready.
Thank you, Alejandro. Yes, I am ecstatic to be here today with you all. I am going to talk very briefly to give you an overview of the curriculum. And it's going to be really fast paced. I want to save enough time for question and answers as much as we can at the end. So I'm going to get going pretty fast here, and please drop your questions into the chat as I talk. So I want to first begin by talking about the mission of the Children's Learning Institute being to advance learning and health outcomes for all children. And because of that, we are offering our English and Spanish curriculum free to all educators worldwide on our CLI Engage platform. There is never a cost. There's not a cost now. There never will be a cost for accessing our curriculum. Getting to it will be familiar to many of you. It is on the same platform where many Texas pre-K teachers access the Circle Progress Monitoring Assessment, which it is fully aligned with. And I want to briefly share just a bit about the curriculum components with you. So we have the curriculum made up of a scope and sequence and a theme guide. Those are the two main components. We have lots of other support materials and resources that come with it, but from day-to-day teaching, instruction, and planning, the scope and sequence and theme guide are the two components that will mainly be utilized. A unique feature of our curriculum is the ability to use themes in any order, so that if your district or city has an event or something that you recognize each year and want to be able to continue to do, you could easily substitute a theme of your own for one of ours, or move the themes around so that they don't follow the suggested sequence that we provide to you. But we do offer a suggested sequence. So this unique ability is the reason that our scope and sequence and theme guides are separated from one another, to allow you that flexibility. And for those of you who prefer to have the theme and instructional content all laid out for you already, integrated day by day, and you're not a big fan of having those two things separate, don't fret. We also are going to offer comprehensive weekly lesson plans that already integrate all of that content for you week by week. It will make sure that you cover everything you need to do every day throughout the course of the week, Monday through Friday. And they'll be in an editable format. So we'll provide them in a Word version. That way you can download them and you can modify any components that you need to modify for your class. Here is just a quick overview of the scope and sequence, so that you can see what it will look like whenever you access it on CLI Engage. When you open up the scope and sequence, what you're going to see are these colorful tabs for all the different domains. It is your primary component. The scope and sequence, all of those lessons that are inside of it, those were carefully sequenced so that skills are going to be covered in a very logical, thoughtful, systematic progression. Those skills are going to continually spiral back through the school year. And each time you spiral back to those skills, they're going to be covered at a higher level, a deeper level, to grow children's knowledge, understanding, and ability to work with, utilize, and understand those things much more independently by the end of the school year. You'll see here an example. We've opened up the tab for alphabet knowledge, and you see those magenta lesson names under there. And you'll see that those names are under three different categories. There are three categories there. So anything under that first category, target lessons, that target lessons header, these are lessons you're going to use with all your children that week. And this is going to ensure that all of the guidelines are covered across the school year, and that they build in a way that are going to grow skills over time, and ensure that easier skills build upon and grow into things that children can do that are going to be higher level. So very thoughtful progression. That middle column, step it up. This is for children who will benefit from more challenging instruction. Same focus as the target lessons, but the activity itself is going to be at a higher level. And then in that additional lessons category, these are lessons that were taught previously in the weeks prior to this particular week. And these are really great when students would benefit from maybe reteaching content or additional practice with particular skills. So those are three important things for you to notice as you're reviewing the curriculum. And then one last piece I want to hit on quickly for the scope and sequences is that purple tab. It's different from the rest of those tabs that are there. This is our family engagement tab. It's really fantastic. Here you'll find activities that you can share every single week with families. If you have a phone handy, you can open up the camera and hover over that QR code, and you'll see an example of what parents will see. So these activities are not just fun, but they really are there to enhance that family school partnership that we all know is so important. Every single one of them is designed to encourage really playful interactions between families and their children, but it also supports skills that the child is working on that very same week in the classroom. So they're getting it in different ways from different places, and every single one is offered in both English and Spanish so that families can use the version of the lesson that they're most comfortable with. The one that if you were able to scan and open one up, you're looking at sensory popcorn activity. It's going to support lessons that they're working on that week in science, which is a lesson called Corn Chip Chat is one of them, where kids are learning about and exploring their five senses. There's a video of a mom and her son. They're engaging in the sensory popcorn activity together at home. So very real, authentic setting with very easy to digest directions. No login is needed at all for parents. Now for the fun part, our themes. You know that these are so important, not just fun and engaging, but they're really critical for building important background knowledge for children and growing content area knowledge. And one of the main things I want to point out here is that the domains that I showed you before for the scope and sequence, you notice that there were some missing. Well, those are covered in the theme guide. That is why the two together provide that comprehensive curriculum. So the theme guide will not only address domains that were present in the scope and sequence, but they're also going to very much target social studies, fine arts, physical development, and technology, so that all of the domains in the guidelines are addressed. And although the Circle Pre-K curriculum is free on CLI Engage, we are always asked about whether or not we have a print option. So separate from the digital curriculum that we submitted for the proclamation and was approved for adoption, we have worked to develop a print version for those who wish to have digital materials in a print form. So there are bound scope and sequence and theme guides, a bound teacher's manual. The theme guides and scope and sequences have those printed out scripted lessons that are very detailed right in the week, behind the week of the scope and sequence or the theme guide where that lesson appears, so that you have it easily accessible to you at all times. We have lots of supplemental resources like attendance chart. You'll see some of them behind me, some work mats, math mats, and a theme library that includes high quality read alouds. I am going to, in the chat, I'm going to drop a link that will give you some additional information if you're interested and want to see more. We have some samples that you can take a look at, and you'll be able to access them there. Okay. Oh, it's not letting me type. Everyone. Okay, I don't know what happened there. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I dropped in a link if you're interested in reviewing some of those print materials. It's going to be right there for you. And here on the screen, you see how to get to the Circle Pre-K curriculum. It is on cliengage.org, my email address where you can contact directly with other questions. And now I am going to go to the chat and see what questions that you guys are asking. You can also feel free to chime in and ask questions directly as you think of them, or as I hit on something that makes you think of them. I'm going to start from the bottom and kind of work our way up. Oh, Sandra Vasquez Nunez out there. Hey, Sandra, it's been ages. Oh my goodness, that's so fun and exciting. She was my early childhood director when I was in the classroom, and is phenomenal. So teacher's manual with letter sequence. Let me see, that there is no fee for Circle Pre-K curriculum. So I'm going to jump to, did you say there is no fee for Circle curriculum? There is absolutely no fee. There never will be. You can access the Circle Pre-K curriculum on CLI Engage now and forever. There will never be a charge for it. So the digital version is completely free. Now those print materials that we do have available, those are separate, and those there is a fee associated with those, but they're not required. There is nothing extra in the scope and sequence book, for example, that you can't access online on Engage. So just keep that in mind. Can I share the link for the letter introduction sequence? So let me navigate to, and I will drop it into the chat. I'm going to navigate back to the website here. Well, I say back to, it was the previous session, it wasn't you guys. So here we are. I'm going to go back to the main curriculum page. So now we are at on Engage. We are specifically in the section for the pre-K curriculum. You can create a free account just by going to cliengage.org. You do not have to be associated even with the school district. Anybody can access this. And so if you hover on the pre-K curriculum in the toolbar and go to professional development resources, we have lots of resources available here. In the teacher's manual, I'm showing this because the teacher's manual is going to have a wealth of information about how the curriculum was developed, research involved with the development of the curriculum. Somebody asked about the sequence of letter development. It is all here, and you can access it and download it at any time. If you order the print version, you do get a printed teacher's manual. But here is and I'm going to drop the link into the chat. This is the link to the teacher's manual that I just dropped into the chat, and it does show the letter sequence right above this in the teacher's manual. It provides the research behind how this sequence was developed and why, and we did look specifically at how at the research among pre-kindergarten children and developing this sequence. We were very careful to make sure that it was very targeted to the age group. And we circle back to these letters. So the first time we start targeted letter instruction is in week 3 of school. And then once those letters are all covered, we circle back again. So there are 3 very targeted exposures to every letter of the alphabet. But in addition to this, every week you are doing playful, meaningful, fun letter activities that address lots of different letters of the alphabet. So they're getting both that nice targeted letter instruction in addition to learning about the alphabet in other ways with their names, things like that. Let's see, 3 materials. So materials for 3-year-olds, yes. The curriculum does support 3-year-old classrooms, and what we are doing right now is we are developing support resources that are going to help teachers better use the curriculum to plan specifically for a 3-year-old classroom, or a classroom that might have 3-year-olds in it, in addition to 4-year-olds. So we expect those to be added in the spring and will be available to provide some more targeted guidance for 3-year-olds. Theme library. I know I'm going through this fast, guys. Sorry, I want to try to get it to as much as I can. Our theme library that can be purchased, yes, it is available in English or in Spanish. Both book lists were chosen separately from one another to ensure that the English list was great and high quality and the Spanish list was great and high quality. There is some overlap, but we didn't just pick a book because we had it in English and we wanted to have it in Spanish. We wanted to pick the best titles that were available. It comes with 36 read aloud titles, and they are tied to the different themes. Somebody is asking about sound. I think that my sound is probably okay because I only see one person asking about that, but please let me know if anyone else is having trouble hearing me. Special needs students. So again, the teacher's manual is going to be a really great resource for learning more about our approach. So beginning on page 66, we provide you with some really detailed information about that. But our curriculum features a number of resources and supports for differentiation. So we not only have numbers of picture cards that can be downloaded and printed to use as supports for lessons. Our lessons are involve a great deal of movement, active, hands-on, making sure that the teacher is constantly going back and forth between the child and the student. We have upward scaffolding for children who are successful with tasks, like how can you extend the task a little bit more to challenge the child, but also lots and lots of downward scaffolds when children are struggle or are not successful showing their understanding. So those are present, lots of teacher tips in the different lessons for how to adapt the lesson to meet different needs of students. So there is a lot in there to help with supports in that way. So is this for full day or half day? So the curriculum that we have provided will cover an entire full day. So there is plenty there in order to get you through an entire school day. I'm going to actually pull up a lesson plan as I talk. So we have a sample lesson plan that you can check out and you can see how it is organized. We had lots of different teachers look at it and give us feedback, and changes were made based on the information that they gave us. But yes, so it will take you through an entire full day program. However, we are also developing a sample lesson plan that shows what it might look like to teach this in a half day program. So some of those choices that you'll have to make as far as how many circle times. This lesson plan has 2 circle times during the day, whereas a half-day program typically has 1. So we will offer a sample that shows how a half-day program lesson plan would look different, but there is plenty there to cover a full-day program. Somebody's asking about virtual resources. So I think that this question might apply to child-facing resources on CLI Engage. So the Circle PK curriculum was designed as a teacher-facing resource. So it is to support the teacher's direct interactions with children, because we know that research shows that teachers make the biggest difference in children's learning. And so we really wanted to target high quality teacher-child interactions to really maximize children's learning in that way. There are some child-facing resources that are getting added to the CLI Engage platform. We have a partnership with the public broadcasting station, and right now we have about 20 child-facing activities. However, these are all STEM-based, so they're either going to target science, math, technology in some way, but those are on the CLI Engage platform, and again, they're free, freely available to Texas pre-kindergarten teachers, so that is there as a resource. I'm trying to see, I'm scanning through to see if there is anything else that I missed. I think I've gotten to all of this. Lakeshore School Readiness set. It is not a mandatory purchase. It is completely separate. We as a research institute do not have the ability to develop things like manipulatives and things like that. So we know that this is important to some classrooms who might not be well resourced. We know lots of classrooms out there are well resourced, but some may not be. And in the event, and they're wanting to and needing to better outfit a classroom, we've partnered with Lakeshore Learning, and you can purchase those school readiness kits through them, but it is absolutely not a mandatory purchase. In fact, our print materials come in different packages, so you could just a school or a district could just purchase the scope and sequence and theme guide books and not the theme library, or just the charts, the attendance charts, the things that you see behind me, the math mats, things like that, and not the theme library. So you have options about what to purchase and what you don't have to get. PD, that's a really great question. I am so glad that you asked about that. So we are going to offer a great number of free online PD resources for effective use of the curriculum housed right on the curriculum website. We've already added several videos and we'll be putting many more up. One that I'm really excited about is one that will be sort of a PLC version. So it will give you a sort of an I do of lesson planning, for example, and then there will be a follow-up one that's more of a we do, and then there will be a facilitated version that either somebody at your school, let's say a coach or a lead teacher, somebody could walk the grade level through a more of a tailored we do that's very specific to your school, using the resources that we would provide you at no cost. Or you can always contract as well with CLI Solutions Group, and we have lots of amazing trainers who can come out and provide in-person training. So there are a lot of options available for professional development. Some free, some will be at a cost. Did I manage to get through all of that? Oh, I think I did. I'm just scanning one more time to make sure I didn't forget anybody. Somebody asked, this was in an earlier session though, but I'm going to go ahead and say it here because some of you may have the same question. Somebody asked about our percentages in meeting the Texas Pre-Kindergarten guidelines. So there were two guidelines in all of the different Texas pre-kindergarten guidelines. One was in science and one was in language that during the review process were found to not meet every breakout within that particular guideline. And since not every breakout in the guideline was met, that guideline was not considered met. I do want to reassure you that since then, we can't change our percentages, of course, and we honor that 100%, but those are fully covered now. The guidelines that were missing, one was a language guideline and one was science. They are fully covered. In fact, language is covered throughout the day, every day, in many, many, many different ways. Let me show you this really quickly because I think that this will be really helpful to you as you review the curriculum. Is if you go to the curriculum main page, I'm going to point out we have this correlations button, and there's one for the English and one for the Spanish. And by the way, it's very easy to get from English to Spanish. We just have this button here at the top that takes you between the English and Spanish curricula. And a spreadsheet will open up when you download those correlations. My Zoom window isn't liking that I'm doing this right now. Let me make sure you can see this. Because I don't think you can here.
Holly,
Okay.
I'm just gonna pop in real quick. I'm sorry.
Yes. No, don't be sorry at all.
Our block did end at 2:45, and I know you're gonna finish answering that question, but
Yes.
just for everyone else, a notification that our transition is 2:45 to 2:50. So you're welcome to stay in here. Otherwise, you can transfer over to another session. But we'll officially restart. So I guess Holly, if you're ready at that point, that'll be at 2:50, so in about 2 minutes. So sorry again, I'll let you finish that question. And
no.
then at 2:50, we can start up again.
My apologies. Thank you. I checked the time and then I started talking. And so I just wanted to point out that if you open up those correlations, what you'll see is every week of the school year, so week 1 of school, 2 of school, 3 of school, it's going to show you any guideline and where we hit on it throughout the school year. So if you're curious, when do we address, 5A2, you can come to our correlations and you can see all the different times throughout the year that we address the different guidelines. So I invite you to check that out. I think that that's going to be a helpful resource. So I'm going to mute myself now and I'm going to pause my video as we prepare for the next session. Feel free to keep dropping things in chat if you're going to stick around, and we'll circle back to them with the next session. Thank you all.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. If anyone's still here from that last session we had, it is 2:50, so we're going to go ahead and start this block. I know that was a quick turnaround, Holly, but I'm Alejandro from the Instructional Materials and Implementation Division at TEA. I'm kind of here just for technical support and timekeeping. Other than that, I don't want to take your time, so I'm going to pass to Holly.
Thank you, Alejandro. And please pop in if you see that I am getting short on time and need a little bit of nudging. It will not offend me one bit. Hi, everybody. My name is Holly Rocha. Those of you who have just popped in, I am ecstatic to be here with you all today to share our new Circle Pre-K curriculum and Curricular Circle de Pre-Kinder. This is a really fast-paced session designed to be more of a Q&A, so I invite you all to contact me. I dropped a link to our Google form into the chat. So if you want us to CLI to present directly to your teachers or your district, please let us know. Fill out that Google form and we would love to be able to do that for you. So I want to give you just a little bit of background and give you a very quick overview of the curriculum and the different components. And I'm going to start by talking a little bit about what we're offering. Because the mission of the Children's Learning Institute is to advance learning and health outcomes for all children, we are offering our English and Spanish curricula free to all educators on our CLI Engage platform. Some of you will be familiar with CLI Engage since it is the same platform used by many Texas teachers to access the Circle Progress Monitoring Assessment. Our curriculum is fully aligned to our Circle Progress Monitoring Assessment. Both were developed right here at CLI. I'm going to briefly share the curriculum components with you. And I know that you have all done a lot of really great and deep thinking and planning over the last couple of days. So I want to spend the majority of the time in this session trying to address your specific questions. Here on the screen, you see the two main components of the curriculum highlighted. A unique feature of our curricula is the ability to use themes in any order. And to allow for that, we have separated our theme guide out from the rest of our curriculum content. And what this allows you to do is, let's say that there's a topic that you and the children in your classroom are particularly passionate about, and it's not represented by one of our 10 themes. We think you're going to love our 10 themes, but in the event that that happened, you could choose to substitute a theme of your own for one of ours. Separating out the theme guide and scope and sequence gives you that flexibility that many of you will love, while still giving that framework and structure that is so important in a curriculum. And for those of you who prefer that the theme already be integrated in there and the instructional content already laid out for you in a day-by-day manner, we also are developing and will soon be able to offer comprehensive weekly lesson plans that you can modify as you choose to. So you'll go to the curriculum website, you'll pick whatever week, let's say week 5 of school, you'll be able to download a Word version of a completed week 5 lesson plan that has everything there from morning to the very end of the school day, transitions and all, and you'll be able to edit it, add copy and paste from it, change things, add things, whatever you need to do to make it a lesson plan that suits the children in your classroom. The scope and sequence and theme guide, I want to talk to you a little bit about what those two separate pieces do and how they are different. So whenever you go to the digital curriculum on Engage and you open up a scope and sequence, you're going to see it look the way that you see this one here. So this is an example of week 5, and you see all those color-coded tabs. Lessons in the scope and sequence are carefully sequenced with skills that are in an order to ensure progression and building of skills over time, continually spiraling back to those skills throughout the year. And with every single one of those cycles, the skill is going to be addressed at a higher level to deepen understanding. So if you look here, let's pretend I clicked on that pink alphabet knowledge tab. So if you look at how it opens up, looking at that alphabet knowledge tab that's all opened up, you see that there are 3 categories that are there. That very first one with the target lessons header Anything in target lessons is a lesson that you're going to use with all children. And this ensures that all of the guidelines and skills are comprehensively covered across the school year. So by following those target lessons from week to week, you're ensuring skill progression, you're ensuring coverage of skills. That next category over, step it up, these are for children who need more challenging tasks. So in your classroom, you'll likely have children who would benefit from more challenging instruction. It's going to address the same focus skill as the target lesson, but the lesson is just going to be a little bit more challenging, a little bit more complex level of a skill. And then that last category, additional lessons, these were taught previously. So let's say several weeks ago, you may have taught one of these lessons, and these circle back as well. And these are perfect when you have students who might benefit from reteaching or some additional practice with particular skills. So that gives you all those different levels of differentiation right there every single week. I also want to quickly call your attention to the Purple Family Engagement tab because it's really key. And as I talk, I invite you to open up your camera app on your phone and hover over that QR code. This Purple Family Engagement tab is going to house 2 family activities every single week that you can share with your students' parents or caregivers. If you have a phone handy, check it out. And what you're going to see is an activity called Sensory Popcorn is going to open up. These fun activities are going to really do wonders to enhance that family-school partnership in a very ongoing and intentional way. Each one encourages playful learning experiences. Each one is offered in English and Spanish, so families can choose to use the activity in the language they're most comfortable with. So in this sensory popcorn activity that you might be looking at, it supports science lessons that you're working on in the classroom that week. So there's a science lesson that week called Corn Chip Chat. And children are experiencing this. They're learning about and exploring the 5 senses in the classroom. And so now the parents and the families are able to extend that learning at home as well. There's a video of a mom and her son engaging in the activity together so parents can see what that might look like. Very easy to digest directions for families. No login needed at all. Okay, so now for the fun part are the theme guides. So that was the scope and sequence. And now taking a look at the theme guides, we know that those are so important and not only fun and engaging, which is important, but also so critical for building important background knowledge and content area knowledge for our kids. In addition to the domains you saw in the scope and sequence, theme guides are also going to target social studies, fine arts, physical development, and technology. And so the scope and sequence used together with the theme guide addresses all 10 of the Texas pre-kindergarten domains. And the Circle Pre-K curriculum on Engage is absolutely free. You heard me say that, and that is right. It is free, but we are always asked about whether or not we have a print option. And separate from the digital curriculum that we submitted for the proclamation, we have also worked to develop a print version for those who wish to have digital materials in a print form. So there's a bound scope and sequence and theme guide books. It has the full printed lesson plans, lessons right there inside of the bound books. There are also supplemental resources such as charts and work mats. There is also a theme library that includes 36 high quality read aloud books, and these are available in English or in Spanish. And I'm going to add a link right now in the chat that will give you some more information on those resources for those of you who are interested and want to learn a little bit more. And I am now going, after I add this, I will change my slide so that you have my contact information handy, but I also am going to take a look at our chat box now and see what questions that we have. And I'm just going to start from the bottom and work my way up because there are so many now from the previous sessions. That's kind of the easiest way to approach it. Okay. Is our curriculum aligned with early Head Start learning outcomes? Yes. So one of the things that I can point out to you is that every one of this is our curriculum webpage here. And so I'm going to go into a scope and sequence and just pick a lesson so that I can show you how the alignment pieces work. Um, so bounce a word. In week 5, we're working on segmenting words, sentences into individual words. So bounce a word, what you'll see on all of our lessons over here on the right hand side in this gray bar, we have our alignments, and all of our lessons have alignments to the to the Head Start Early Learning outcomes. In addition to this, we are developing an alignment document, and we are also in the process of developing a additional Head Start alignment pieces that will be added as well, but it is completely aligned to the Head Start Early Learning outcomes. What did I say was free? So the digital curriculum is completely free. So what you are looking at here is our curriculum website. I'm going to go back to our curriculum website landing page. So anybody can go to cliengage.org. If you do not already have an Engage account, you can set up a free public account. I'm going to drop that into the chat again so that you have it easily accessible. So if you do not already have an Engage account, you can sign up for a public account and you can access the curriculum completely free of charge. Anything that is here, so all of your scope and sequences, all of our theme guides, all of our professional development resources, all of this is right here and is no cost. The only thing that we have a cost associated with is if you choose to purchase a print version of the curriculum. I have a question, and I am so sorry that I don't know more about what this is, but I have a question about Schoology and Skyward. I do know what Skyward is, use that as a teacher. I do not know what Schoology is. However, I think that this question is in regard to being able to, information to be able to read from one platform to another. And the CLI Engage curriculum is a teacher-facing resource. There is no student information that is uploaded as part of the curriculum. So in that regard, there wouldn't need to be any information sharing. If your question is different from what I'm understanding, please email me there at that email address on the screen, and I can get some very detailed and a much more targeted answer from our technology team that can answer your question fully. Let me see. Are you PD? I think that was from our earlier session, professional development. So I think that nursery rhymes. Yes, I love that question. I wasn't able to hit on that here, so I'm just going to come and I'm going to visit that here for a minute. How much time do I have left? 3:10. I have a few minutes. So I'm going to come and show you a theme guide online so that you can take a look at what that looks like. So we go to our theme guide page, and I can pick from any of our 10 theme guides. I'm just going to pick the sky above me. And as I look here at the sky above me, I have all the different weeks in the theme that I can pick from. I'm just going to skip down to week 3 to show you how you can move around to the different parts of the theme guide. And in your theme extenders, we're going to give you a suggested list of books to use that week for the night sky. So the big theme is the sky above me, but this week we're focused on the night sky, and we have books that are targeted very much to the night sky. You could click here to open up a book club that gives you a much more expansive list of narrative and informational texts, but we give you sort of a more narrowed list here. So getting to nursery rhymes. So every single week we give you a variety of songs, rhymes, and chants to use that specifically tie to that week's theme topic. The night sky is the one that I'm looking at now. So all of these songs, rhymes, and chants will support their learning about the night sky, and you're gonna sing, you're gonna dance, you're going to move and act out these all week long. But in addition to that, every single week, one of them is also used as a book and print reading song or chant, and you're gonna scribe that, write it down onto a piece of chart paper. So here you see it was Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and now it also becomes a book and print reading activity where you have fun pointers that are actually part of our print resources that you can purchase, pointers, and you can do lots of different book and print reading activities with that one each week. is the curriculum in English and Spanish all in one curriculum. They are separate curriculum. Now, if you go online, you can move easily back and forth between the English and the Spanish. But if you're looking at purchasing print, there is an English print version and there is a Spanish print version. Here, what you'll see is that it's very, very easy to move between the English and the Spanish curriculum by just clicking on my Spanish version button here at the top. And now I am in the Spanish curriculum. Let me give you one more example of how they are easy to go back and forth between. I'm just gonna open up a lesson really quickly. I'm not doing anything super important right now. I'm just trying to get to a lesson to show you something. So if I open up a lesson, another thing that I'm able to do, and this is also true of an English lesson, is I always have this button here. So if I'm looking at a Spanish lesson, I can choose to view the English version of that lesson. And the same is true if I'm in an English lesson, I can click to view the Spanish version of the lesson. And it is not just a direct translation of the lesson. That differences are very apparent when differences are needed between the two languages. But you can see how easy it is to move between the two different languages and how it's all right there and accessible. Can the curriculum be used for 3- and 4-year-olds in a mixed classroom? It definitely can be. This is when adaptations, some modifications are going to be necessary. And like I said, we'll be developing some support resources for helping to plan in a more targeted way for classrooms with 3-year-olds. And we will be adding those to the website in the coming months. All of this will be available well before summer. Are the books available to teachers, or would they have to find them for instruction? The books, so I think you're talking about the books that are referenced in the lessons. So the books that are referenced in the lessons, we do have a theme library that includes some of those books. In the lessons, however, we do often talk about a particular book and reference it, but we always let you know that this lesson can be used with, if you don't have bunny cakes, that one I just popped in my head for some reason, but if you don't have bunny cakes, you can do this exact same lesson with, and it will suggest some alternate titles for you or the type of book to look for that you can do it with. So there is nothing about the lesson that is unusable if you don't have that book available. All right, I think that I have a few minutes left, but I think that we are at the end of the questions. Is CLI Engage free all school year of 2021? CLI Engage, the curriculum, the Circle Pre-K curriculum will be free always. So, you know, next year, 5 years from now, 8 years from now, the CLI and the Circle Pre-K curriculum is free now and will always be free. There is not a time stamp on it being available or not being available in the future. It's free now. It will be free forever. It is free to everybody. The digital version, that is correct. So what is freely available is the digital version. And just as a side note, the print materials are completely cost recovery. You'll find that the cost of the items that we have made available for print, we did that because we knew that many teachers want something in print in their hand, but it is completely cost recovery. We do not profit from it. Every dime, every dollar that is made from the sale of our print curriculum goes back into developing professional development, goes back into coaching in classrooms. So we are a not-for-profit. So we're a little bit different from maybe some of the other publishers out there in that way. Okay, everyone, I thank you so much for your time and your attention. So many great questions. I hope that I answered them all. And if I didn't, please email me. Or if you completed the Google form, we will absolutely get back with you. And we hope that we can talk with some of you in a more one-on-one format to answer some of your questions more fully or provide presentations as needed. Thank you all so much, and y'all have a wonderful rest of the day. Good luck with your curriculum selection.
Thanks, Holly. I guess as an update for everyone who's still in here or just coming in, we're doing the transition period 3:10 to 3:15, and Holly will be back on starting at 3:15. So I'll give it back to you, Holly, but I think you're done and we'll start again soon.
Yes, thank you. I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself. But if you still have questions, feel free to drop them into the chat. I will be here during the transition period, so I'm happy to answer what I can if you have questions for me during that time.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alejandro. I'm here on behalf of the TA, the Instructional Materials and Implementation Division. We're officially starting 315. Maybe we have some similar names, but new ones as well. But I'm going to go ahead and give it to Holly. She knows what she's doing.
I'm going to be an expert by the end of this for sure. Thank you, Alejandro. And those of you who were on previously, I apologize if I am a broken record and you're hearing this introduction over and over again. But hello, everybody. My name is Holly Rocha. I'm here with you today from the Children's Learning Institute at UT Health. I'm excited to be here to share our new Circle Pre-K curriculum and Curricula Circle de Pre-Kinder. Since this session is so fast-paced and it is really designed to be more of a Q&A, I want to invite you to contact me to schedule a presentation or answer questions directly to you or present directly to your school or your district. I have dropped a link to our Google form into the chat, so please feel free to enter your information into our Google form. And I've also added a link to how to create a free account on CLI Engage if you do not already have one. So I want to tell you a little bit about the mission of CLI and why we're able to offer our curriculum for free. So our mission is to advance learning and health outcomes for all children. And because of that, it really was a lofty goal of ours to be able to develop a very comprehensive, high quality curriculum in both English and Spanish and offer it free to all educators. And we were able to do that, and we're really proud of that. So regardless of where you are, if you are in a daycare program or a public school or a Head Start, if you're not, even if you're not in Texas, our curriculum is completely free on our CLI Engage platform in a digital format. Getting to our curriculum is going to be familiar to some of you since it is the same platform many Texas teachers use to access our Circle Progress Monitoring Assessment. Both of those were developed right here at CLI. They are fully aligned with one another. I'm going to briefly share about the curriculum components with you to make sure that you understand the two and how they work together. And I know you've already done so much deep and great thinking over the last couple of days and been walked through this process for selecting a curriculum. So I want to really honor that by providing you enough time to talk about the specific questions that you have. So very quickly, our curriculum is made up of two main components. We have a number of other support resources available, but the two main components of our curriculum are our scope and sequences and our theme guides. A new unique feature of our curriculum is the ability to use our theme guides in any order. And the reason that you're able to do that is because our theme guide is separate from our scope and sequence. So for example, there might be a topic that you or the children in your classroom are really, really passionate about, but it's not represented in one of our 10 themes. We think you're going to love our themes, but let's say that happened. Well, you would be able to choose to substitute a theme of your own for one of ours. And having the scope and sequence separate from the theme guide allows you the flexibility to be able to do that. But our curriculum still, even with that flexibility, also gives you the framework and structure that's really important for a curriculum. And for any of you who might prefer to already have it, you are thinking, oh, that just, I don't want to mess with trying to figure out how to fit my theme into my other topics. And I know there's some of you out there, I think I might have been that teacher. We also have provided in a day-by-day, really nicely laid out format, are going to offer comprehensive weekly lesson plans that already integrates the theme into your daily instruction. It covers whole groups, small groups, it covers center times, transitions, the whole full day. And the scope and sequence and theme guide, I want to give you just a really brief overview of how those are different and why it's important to use them in combination with one another. So when we go to the curriculum webpage and we open up a scope and sequence, you select a week. So here you're seeing week 5 as an example. And all these colorful tabs, these are all the different domains that are covered in every single weekly scope and sequence. The scope and sequence addresses your whole group and your small group time. The lessons that are in the scope and sequence have been carefully sequenced and very thoughtfully sequenced to ensure that not only are you going to cover all of the different guidelines by the end of the school year, but you're going to cover them in a progression that allows easier skills to be introduced first, harder skills to build upon those easier skills, and then with every time you spiral, those skills will spiral again back and forth throughout the school year, and with every one of those cycles, you're going to address the skill at a higher level to deepen children's understanding. In this example you see here, alphabet knowledge is opened up, and you're going to notice in alphabet knowledge that there are 3 columns. So that first one is, the header says target lessons. Anything under that target lessons header you'll use with all the children in your classroom. And what that does is it ensures that by the end of the year, if you go week by week and you cover everything that's in the target skills, by the end of the school year, you will have covered all of the Texas Pre-K guidelines, and you will have done it in a way that ensured a really logical and thoughtful progression and deepening of skills across the school year. That next column, the Step It Up lessons, are for children who would benefit from more challenging tasks. It covers the same skill in that target lessons category, but the lesson is going to be a bit more challenging, and it's going to address those skills in a deeper way at a higher level. And then that last category, additional lessons. These lessons were actually taught in previous weeks and are perfect when you have students who might benefit from reteaching or from additional practice with skills. So they're organized in a way to really support differentiation in the students that you have in your classroom. I'm going to hop down to that very last purple tab. That all those domain tabs are structured in the way that I just showed you with alphabet knowledge. But if we skip down here to the family engagement tab, and as I talk, I invite you to open up your camera on your phone and hover over that QR code so that you can take a peek at what I'm talking about now and see an example. This fantastic family engagement tab is where you're going to find activities that you can share with your families every single week. So what you're going to find here are fun activities that are designed to enhance that family and school partnership that we all know is so critical. Every week there are 2 activities, and each one is going to encourage really just fun and playful learning experiences at home. But those fun and playful learning experiences are going to support skills that you're working on that very same week in the classroom. And there will always be an English and Spanish version so that families can choose to use whichever one they're most comfortable with at home. So the example that was here on that QR code, if you were able to open it up, sensory popcorn activity, it supports science lessons that week. So in science, one of the lessons you're covering in week 5 is called Corn Chip Chat. And the child is experiencing in the classroom that week all about the 5 senses. They're exploring them, they're learning about them, they're doing lots of great engaging lessons and activities around the 5 senses. And now they get to do the same thing at home. So they're getting it from 2 sides in 2 different ways, and really supporting that child's understanding and always growing language at the same time. There's a video of a mom and her son for this one engaging in that sensory popcorn activity together. The directions are really nicely written. They're very easily digestible for parents, and there's never a login. Parents can go directly to the activity. So you might provide a QR code like I've done here today. You could just send a link, however you want to provide these to families. Okay. I think I need to pick up the pace a little bit, so I'm going to talk a little bit faster. Our theme guide, so that was the scope and sequence, and now our theme guides, this is really the fun part, and we know that they're fun, but they're also really critical. Themes are so critical for the pre-kindergarten experiences because not only are they fun, engaging, but they build really critical background knowledge that children need to be successful in throughout school, and also important content area knowledge. So in addition to those domains, those colorful tabs that you saw on the scope and sequence a moment ago, the theme guide is also going to target the ones that you did not see on the scope and sequence, which are social studies, fine arts, physical development, and technology. And the last thing before I open it up to questions is I want to talk about the print version, because although the Circle Pre-K curriculum is free on CLI Engage, that digital version is free, we are always asked about whether or not we have a print option. So separate from the digital curriculum that was submitted for proclamation and approved, we have worked to develop a print version to meet that need. So the Bound, Scope, and Sequence and Theme Guides books are going to include what you saw on the website in a really nicely color-coded, laid-out format. The lessons are all going to be right there. The scripted lessons are all right there for teachers to be able to flip to quickly and see what they need that week and how to teach the lesson. We also include some supplemental resources such as charts, work mats, and there is also a separate theme library that includes 36 high quality read alouds, and they are available in either Spanish or in English. And I'm going to add a link to the chat for those of you who are interested in seeing some samples or learning a little bit more about that. All right, so I'm skipping to a slide that has my contact information on it, so that as I talk, if you want to talk to me a little bit more directly or ask other questions that I didn't maybe answer fully here, please feel free to contact us directly. So I'm going to start in the chat here, looking towards the bottom. Is this compatible with Google Classroom, and can we pilot? Okay, so there's several questions here, so I'm going to start with the first one. Is it compatible with Google Classroom? So the Circle Pre-K curriculum and Curricular Circle de Pre-Kinder is a teacher-facing curriculum. There are not child-facing resources, so it's not something that the child logs in and is working on. It is resources. We very much designed this to be a high-quality resource to support those really critical teacher-child interactions, because of the research that shows the thing that makes the biggest difference in a child's learning is the teacher and that interaction among the teacher and the child. So it is a teacher-facing tool. Let me see, next was about piloting. The great thing about having a digital curriculum is it is there. You can definitely pilot ours very easily at any point that you choose to. I am going to jump over to the website as I talk so that I can show you how easy it is to access some of the different resources. Okay, so now we are looking at the landing page for the curriculum. And so it's very easy to get to everything. It is all right here. I can move between English and Spanish just by clicking on the Spanish button. It takes me to the Spanish version of the curriculum, but it is all here. So we're roughly in about week 18 of school right now. So if I wanted to see what, or try out some of the lessons, let's say in week 18, I can come to my week 18 scope and sequence. I can open it up and I can choose to teach. I can teach any of those lessons right there. If I click on it, you'll see how the lesson opens up. You can print it in a printable PDF format, and it goes through the whole softly scripted lesson cycle. It's a research-based cycle for teacher modeling, where the teacher provides a think aloud, a very concrete model for children, and then children practice with teacher support before practicing independently. Spanish component, yep, I think I just answered that. Somebody is asking about billing. Contact me. If you'll send that in an email or in a Google form, let's talk a little bit more about delayed billing so I can get a better understanding of what that is referring to. How is the curriculum different than the lessons available with Circle? That is an excellent question. So those of you who are familiar with the Engage platform know that the Circle activity collection has been around for many years and continues to grow over the years. The primary difference with the curriculum and the circle activity collection is the activity collection was never intended to be a curriculum. It never could be used as a curriculum because it was missing the thing that makes a curriculum effective, which is the structure. There was nothing about it that guided a teacher through how a skill is first introduced and when it is first introduced, and how to build upon those skills over time, and ensuring comprehensive coverage of all skills across the year. If you were to just use the circle activity collection alone without the guidance of the guidance and structure that a curriculum provides, you'd be missing many guidelines that wouldn't be hit on, or skills wouldn't be built in a way that research says they should be built for children to learn effectively or grow those skills effectively over time. So that's the main difference. Secondly, specifically for the curriculum, hundreds of new lessons had to be developed. So again, the circle activity collection was not a curriculum, so it didn't hit on everything. There were some guidelines that were completely missing from the circle activity collection. And so as part of the development of the curriculum, we developed hundreds of lessons to ensure that coverage of skills, to ensure those critical progressions over time. So that's a very, very good question. Thank you for asking that. Somebody else has asked if, I'm just checking time really quickly. I think we are done and I have about 5 more minutes. Is it just digital? I think that's from our previous group. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I've covered everything you all are asking. Am I willing to do a virtual or in-person presentation for teachers? I would love to. I would love to do it myself, or we have several presenters who could be available to do it. So absolutely, please either email at the email address that you see there on the screen, or if you've already completed the Google form, we'll contact you directly. But we would love to do that, yes, and be able to really go much more deeply and target a presentation that specifically addresses the things that you want to know about and need to know. What is the difference between activities, videos, and lessons? I think I answered that. This question that's asking about the differences between what's free on the website and what's not. So the curriculum, again, is completely free and accessible to anybody. It is not the same as the circle activity collection, although all the lessons that are found in the curriculum are housed in the circle activity collection. You need the curriculum and the structure of the curriculum to ensure that you are addressing skills in a research-based way, in a comprehensive way, and in a way that is going to ensure progression of skills over time. All right, we have a few more minutes, so I could answer more questions if anybody has them. I think we have about 3 minutes left. Do you have permission to print them yourself from the website? You absolutely do, 100%. So you can come to our website and you can print these lessons. That's what we want you guys to do, and you teach them in the classroom. Yes, you absolutely can. And I'm going to point one more thing out to you that I think might be helpful as you select a curriculum. So I'm going to come back just to the home page of the curriculum. So I want to show you here this button. If you click on this button, you will be able to open up a spreadsheet of every week of school, and that spreadsheet is going to plot out for week 1. These are all the guidelines that are covered. For week 2, these are all the guidelines that are covered. So if you're curious when addition is covered, for example, you can go to that correlations document and you can look and see, when do we first introduce addition and how many times do we revisit addition? That's just one example. Or how often do we hit on a particular language skill? So I think that will be a helpful resource for you as you guys are looking at some of the different curricula out there. Do we have any pre-recorded virtual presentations? We do. So again, on our website, if you can see here, if you go to our professional development resources tab, and I really invite you to download our teacher's manual. It gives you all the research behind why we did what we did with sequencing and how we developed the different pieces. But I'm going to jump to the question that was asked specifically. Under our training dropdown, you will see that we already have a number of videos up that address different areas of the curriculum and talk about our professional development model. As we speak, another one is being developed right now for lesson planning. And so we're going to continue adding these free videos over time that are going to be available on the curriculum website. We're also going to have online PD that's going to go much deeper, that are going to be sort of more of a PLC format. So for example, you might watch an I do on lesson planning, a video that's kind of an I do model on lesson planning, and then there will be a follow-up that's structured as more of a we do, and then there will be a third component to it that a lead teacher or a coach or a district leader could host a PLC with teachers where they also walk through a we do version of lesson planning, but that's customized more for the week of school that you're on and for your daily schedule, that sort of thing. But we provide you the resources and the guidance documents, the facilitation manuals to be able to do that. So that's all coming as well. We will also, of course, offer in-person professional development by our training team on a fee-for-service basis for those of you who prefer in-person professional development. I have a question about the school readiness kits. They are absolutely not required. That is just an extra thing. We have some schools who we're interested in manipulatives and some additional resources like that we don't provide as part of our curriculum. So Lakeshore partnered with us to offer those school readiness kits, and you can buy the big gamut of all the different domain kits where you can just select. So if you want math manipulatives and math resources, you can purchase just the math school readiness kits from Lakeshore, but they're not required. You can purchase just our theme library if you want. You can purchase just our scope and sequences and theme guides in print if you want. You don't have to buy any of it if you don't want to. You can completely rely on the online digital resource that's free. So you definitely have a lot of options there available to you. All right, I think I went over a minute, so we're done. Please email me if you have any other questions that I didn't get to.
Okay, so thank you, Holly. It is just past 3:35, so there's one more block left today, and that one's going to start at 3:40. So that last block will be 3:40 to 4 o'clock. So feel free to stay in here. I think Holly's still here answering all questions, but we'll officially get started again after this quick little break, and that'll be at 3:40. Thanks, Holly.
Thanks, and I will be around, so if you want to drop anything into chat, I can answer those during the break as well. I will mute my microphone and turn off my video so you don't have to stare at me during the break.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alejandro with TEA in the Instructional Materials and Implementation Division. This is the last block for the day, 3:40 till 4. So I don't want to take any of your time, Holly, again, but I'm just here kind of looking at the clock, make sure we're good, and for any technical assistance. But I'll give it to you, Holly. Thanks.
Thank you again. All right, all of you, welcome and hello. My name is Holly Rocha. I am happy to be here with you all today. I know that you guys are probably just brain fried after all of the thinking and reviewing that you have been doing. So thank you for giving a little bit of your time to hear about the Circle Pre-K curriculum and our Spanish version, Curricular Circle de Prekinder. Since this session is so fast paced, I invite you guys to contact me through the Google form that I have dropped into the chat so that I can answer all of your questions in a much more comprehensive way. I'm happy to have a phone call with you, do a private presentation for your district or school, whatever we can do to support you as you make this difficult decision. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into things. And I want to start by talking about the availability of the Circle Pre-K curriculum and how it came to be. Because the mission of the Children's Learning Institute has always been to advance learning and health outcomes for all children. We are proud to offer our English and Spanish curricula free, completely free to everyone on our CLI Engage platform. It is a digital curriculum. It is freely accessible. If you do not already have a CLI Engage account, you can set one up. I dropped a link into the chat where you can create a free public account and you will be able to get to the entire curriculum at no cost. Getting to the curriculum will be familiar to some of you because it's the same platform that many Texas pre-kindergarten teachers use to access the Circle Progress Monitoring Assessment. That's because both were created at the Children's Learning Institute. And so just so you know that the Circle pre-kindergarten curriculum is fully aligned to the Circle Progress Monitoring Assessment, making it a much more seamless experience to plan in a targeted way based on your assessment data. And I want to very briefly share about the curriculum components with you to give you a sort of more of a solid foundation as you think about how to use, how the curriculum might be used with your teachers and the children in your classroom. I know you've already done so much thinking and planning over the last couple of days, so I want to spend most of the time on your questions. So I want to start by explaining that the Circle Pre-K curriculum is made up of two main components. So the two key pieces that will be used on a day-by-day basis with teachers are our scope and sequences and our theme guides. And let me explain why we have these two separate components. A unique feature of our curricula is the ability for teachers to be able to use themes in any order that they want to. If there is a topic that your district or your town, for example, might celebrate or address every school year, and it's not represented by one of our fun themes, you could choose to substitute a theme of your own for one of ours. By having the scope and sequence and theme guide separate, it gives you that flexibility that many of you might be looking for, while also giving a nice framework and structure that really is important in a curriculum. But just know that for those of you who prefer to have it all sort of mapped out for you and you don't want to have to think about where a theme fits and how it fits in with the day, we have laid it out for you in a day-by-day manner. We offer comprehensive weekly lesson plans that you can modify as needed. They are being refined as we speak and will be going up on our website over the next few months. And so they will be available, all 35 weeks of the school year will be available in the spring, but you'll start seeing them added over time over the next several months. The scope and sequence, I want to break it out a little bit and talk to you just really briefly about the difference between the scope and sequence and the theme guide. So the scope and sequence, we refer to it as the primary curriculum component because it is essential to ensure guideline, it is essential to ensure guideline coverage across the school year. And the scope and sequence also ensures progression of skills. So what occurs in the scope and sequences is that lessons are placed in a very careful sequence so that skills continually spiral back across the school year. Easier skills are introduced earlier in the skills with more challenging or more complex skills that build upon those earlier skills, and so on. So over the course of the school year, you will have covered all of the Texas Pre-Kindergarten guidelines many, many times, going deeper with each cycle that you spiral back to those guidelines and those skills and that content. Here on the screen, you'll see what it looks like if you open up a scope and sequence on the curriculum website, and you'll see alphabet knowledge opened up. There are all those different domain tabs. Alphabet knowledge is opened up, and if you look closely at alphabet knowledge, depending on the size of your screen, hopefully you might be able to see that there are 3 categories in alphabet knowledge. So that very first category, the header, is target lessons. Anything that's under the target lessons header is used with all children, either in whole group or small group. You can decide what fits best with your schedule, your day, the needs of the children, but all children will experience those lessons during the week. And this ensures that skill coverage that I talked about, that making sure that you've addressed all the guidelines by the end of the year and that you're progressing through skills in a systematic and research-based manner. Now, that middle column, the header, the Step It Up header, these lessons are for children who would benefit from more challenging instruction. The focus skill is the same as the focus skill and the target lessons, but the lesson is going to go a bit deeper and is going to be a bit more challenging, addressing the same skill, however. And that last category, additional lessons, these lessons were already appeared in the curriculum in a previous week. And these are particularly helpful when students would benefit from reteaching or additional practice with skills. And so by laying it out this way, we're providing some of those differentiation supports that we know are so critical in every classroom. And I want to hop really quickly before we move on from the scope and sequence to the theme guide. I want to hop down to that very last tab, that purple tab. That is our family engagement tab. It's different from the rest of the ones that are in the scope and sequence because this really is specifically for your students' families. It's a great place where every week you're going to find activities that you can share with the families. If you have your phone handy, you might open up your camera app and hover over that QR code so you can see an example. It will open up into a family activity called sensory popcorn. These activities are really fun and they're designed to enhance that family school partnership that we all know is so critical. Every single one is going to encourage playful interactions and experiences between children and their families. And it's also going to support skills that you're working on in the classroom that very same week. And every single one is offered in English and Spanish so that your families can choose to use the activity in the language that they're most comfortable with. So the one that you might be looking at if you were able to open it up on your phone, sensory popcorn, for example, this one supports science lessons that you're teaching that week in the classroom. So one of the science lessons that are taught that week is called Corn Chip Chat. And so in this one, we're learning about all week long, we're learning about more exploring the 5 senses. And they're going to get to do the same thing at home in a little bit of a different way. So they're getting it from multiple places in multiple ways. And there's a video of a mom and her son engaging in this activity together in their home. There's directions that are really easy to digest for parents. And we don't require any kind of a login to be able to access the parent activities to make it super simple for you. Now for the fun part, I'm going to hop over now to the theme guides before we move into a Q&A period. So the themes are a really important part of the pre-K experience. I don't have to tell you guys that. They're not only fun and engaging, but they are critical for addressing components that are going to build important background knowledge that kids need to be successful throughout school, important content area knowledge that's going to really be important to them. So those domains, those colorful tabs that you saw on the slide that had the scope and sequence, you likely noticed that there were some domains that weren't represented. Well, don't fret, they're represented here on the theme guide. So in addition to what you saw in the scope and sequence, theme guides are also going to address social studies, fine arts, physical development, and technology. So with the two used together, you're addressing all 10 of the domains in the Texas Pre-Kindergarten Guidelines. And the very last thing that I want to really quickly hit on is a print version. So although the Circle Pre-K curriculum is free on CLI Engage, that digital version is free, we are always asked about whether or not we have a print option. So what we did was, separate from the digital curriculum that was submitted from proclamation and approved for adoption, we worked to develop a print version for those who want to have those digital materials in a print form. So we have bound scope and sequence and theme guide books that will have detailed scripted lessons right there in them for the week. We have a package that also includes some supplemental resources like attendance charts and center management charts and work mats. And there is also a theme library that includes 36 high quality read alouds, and you can choose to purchase those either in English or in Spanish. I'm going to drop a link into the chat for you so that you can, those of you who are interested in the print resources, will have a place you can go to learn a little bit more about those and see what they look like. We have some samples that you can click on and look at for those. Okay, and I'm going to move into the question and answer component of our session now. And so I want to point out again my email information and how to get to the website. The platform is on the slide, so please feel free to email with questions. And I'm looking at the chat now to see what some of the questions you might have right now are. I don't think that anybody has asked a question yet. Okay, so I'm going to keep checking the chat, but while I have you all still here with me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the website, the digital curriculum on the website, and just point out a few things, and I will keep coming back here to double check the chat to see if something pops into your head as I do this. Let's see why it, hang on guys. Here we go. Of course, in the last session, you know, that's when you start to have technical difficulties. Got it. My share screen didn't want to pop up. I apologize. So hopefully now you can see the Circle Pre-K curriculum website. It is very easy to get to it. So I'm going to take you back to CLI Engage dashboard for those of you who are familiar with going and logging in to Engage. Once you log in, you come to a page that looks like this. It will welcome you. And the curriculum is right here under this blue tab, Circle Pre-K curriculum. And it's going to open up first to the English curriculum, and you can move very easily to the Spanish version just by clicking up here in the toolbar for the Spanish version. And they're laid out in identical ways online so that you can move easily and find things very easily. What's in English is going to be located in the same place on the Spanish page and so on. So it's not, you don't have to hunt for things or wonder where things are. Another piece that I still don't see questions. So another piece I want to point out to you that's going to be really key for you guys as you review and think about the different curricula that you might be considering is how to access things. So when you get to our homepage for the curriculum, you're going to have these shortcut buttons for exploring the scope and sequence and theme guides. End of the day, right? Scope and sequence and theme guides. And then also this correlations button. And this correlations button, I think you will find helpful. When you open it up, it's a spreadsheet that you can search, and we didn't lock it down. We wanted you to be able to use it and search and hide and do whatever you needed to do with it. But what it does is it lays out each week of school. And so if you wanted to say, for example, look at what are all the guidelines taught in week 5 of school, you could do that. Or when is addition first introduced, and how often do they cycle back and spiral back to addition? You could find the addition guideline, and you can look at all the different weeks that appear. So it's going to show you all the weeks of school, the 35 weeks that the curriculum covers, and it's going to show you all the guideline coverage for every week of school. I'm going to add some additional content in here also about sample lesson plans, because as I mentioned, we are in the process of developing and adding lesson plans for every week of the school year. Here's a sample one that you can look at now. This one is for, I believe, week 16 of school. We will add one for all 35 weeks, but what we are also going to be doing is providing them in a Word format, so that all that you have to do is go to the website. You're working on week 16, you open up week 16, it opens up in a Word version so that you can decide, you know what, I want to do a different book than what they've suggested here, or I think this lesson would be better in a small group versus a whole group. Whatever it is that you do want to do to really target your classroom specifically, you can edit it, you can add to it, you can copy from it and paste into a different type of lesson planning tool that you prefer, that your district utilizes. So that is a resource that is available to you. And then one last thing, let's see, it's 3:56, we have a few minutes left here. One thing that I think that is also going to be extremely helpful as you narrow down your choices is information about how the curriculum was developed and why it follows a particular sequence, for example. So one that we're often asked about is the introduction of letters, the sequence for introducing the different letters of the alphabet. So we definitely offer a very targeted sequence for introducing letters of the alphabet. In addition to daily activities that cover all the letters of the alphabet, there's also, of course, direct instruction that is very targeted for alphabet knowledge. And so if you wanted to say, for example, learn more about why we developed the sequence in the way we did and why it follows the sequence it does, all of that information is in our teacher's manual in our professional development section. So if you hover over the toolbar, go to professional development resources, you'll see there are a variety of things here. And the teacher's manual can be opened up. You can search in it. You can download and print it. You can also, it also is comes in a printed form if you purchase the printed curriculum. And you could look, for example, for the information on the alphabet knowledge sequence or any other if you wanted to know about phonological awareness and what we address and the order that it's addressed. All of that is in here. All of the research behind how lessons were developed and the sequence of lessons, it can all be found here in the teacher's manual. So I think it will be a really valuable resource as you think about and make decisions. So here is our sequence for letter instruction, and above it is the information about how that was developed and the research that was used in the development of that sequence. All right, we have about 2 minutes left. I'm looking to see if I have anything in here that is important but quick that I can talk with you guys about. I do, let me show you guys this. Okay. Inside of those different lessons that are used in the curriculum are a variety of differentiation supports that we offer. They're really critical for meeting the different needs of the students in your classroom. So nearly every single lesson includes a scaffolding section. So you'll see an example of a scaffolding section there at the top. In it, you'll find downward scaffolds that support children who need additional help when they're not able to accomplish a task or answer a question or whatever the goal of the lesson might be. And then there are also upward scaffolds for children who are successful, but we don't want to stop there. We want to extend, go one little step further and get a little bit more out of the child, get a little more thinking. So it extends the learning when children are successful. Also in our lessons is a section called Teacher Tips. So you see that middle one there. And these offer ways to adapt activities based on children's needs. And the last one, that star icon that you see down there, that is also a version of a teacher tip. So they come in a couple of different ways. The star icon is used throughout the curriculum, especially in the theme guides. And this social studies example comes from a theme guide, and it offers guidance for supporting children who are learning English. So there are all those different differentiation supports available as well. Okay. I think we're at the end of our time, so please, if you have any final last questions, email us, contact us directly. We are happy to answer them, and I'm going to let Alejandro jump back in here. Thank you all so much for your time.
All right, thank you, everyone. I think Holly's information has been distributed. It's in the chat. I'll go ahead and leave the meeting open maybe for just another minute or two in case someone does have a question or needs to confirm any contact information. And I'll confirm with you, Holly, in a minute or two once I end the meeting. But I'll stand by for just a minute.
Perfect, thank you. I'm dropping my contact information back in the chat one more time just so you have it in an easy to grab spot.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. Thank you, everyone, for today. I hope you got some great information. I know in this room you must have. So, Holly, you did an awesome job. Thank you for helping us out today. So, everyone, have a great day, and thank you again, Holly.
Thank you all. You'll have a wonderful evening,
All
and,
right, bye-bye.
you'll sleep well tonight, I know. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Holly. Bye.